Hi everyone, welcome to Yuhan's channel. This is my first video of this channel. I want to share what this channel will be about and why I have decided to create it. This will be a channel dedicated to exploring China, covering topics like culture, history, art, conventions, traditions, and what real daily life is like here. While these subjects are not uncommon, my goal isn't to offer a general introduction. Instead, I hope to provide an unique insider's perspective. To explain what I mean by that, let me briefly introduce my background. I am a Chinese modern art historian and a curator at a public museum. I was born in the early 1990s and grew up in Chengdu, a megacity in southwest China. Chengdu isn't the largest or richest city in China, but it's what we call a new first-tier city. Having developed rapidly over the past few decades, it now has a population of about 24 million, a true megacity drawing people from all over the country. My family is what you might call a middle class. I am an only child, which was common due to the one-child policy at that time. In many ways, my family fits the most crucial standard for a Chinese family, 稳定, which means stability. I studied in Beijing from high school all the way through till my PhD. I have never lived or studied abroad, so my education followed a very classical Chinese path. Now I'm back in my hometown, working and living within the 体制, the state public institution system. Because of this, you could say I am a pretty authentic, typical Chinese person who has witnessed and experienced the turbulence and development of this era firsthand and who remains deeply involved in it. I have been fascinated by history and social sciences from a young age, and my academic training in art history has deepened that interest. I've always had a passion for observing social phenomena and human behavior. Whether it's a personal experience, a news headline, or a sudden social trend, I prefer to approach it from a historical perspective to look for the deeper, more essential reasons rather than rushing to judgments. This mindset is largely a personal habit. I'm not a philosopher, and my thoughts don't always from a perfectly logical system. They are often fleeting impressions, and I rarely try to articulate, even for myself. However, my daily life now requires me to speak out my thoughts constantly, and the reason for that is my husband. He is Spanish and moved to China about 3 years ago for work. Arriving in Chengdu without knowing the language or anything about the city, he grew up in Spain, Madrid, and worked in Germany for about 10 years, and this is his first time to live out of Europe. Superficially, he adapted very quickly. He has no problem with the spicy food or the countless mobile apps essential for life here. We don't have the usual cultural conflicts at all. We never argue about food, for instance, as he is always willing to try everything from pig's brain to cow's stomach. Unlike many foreigners in China who work for international companies or schools, he works for a completely Chinese government-funded culture institution. He is one of only 2 Westerners among about 100 Chinese employees, so he has had to fully immerse himself in the Chinese way. Naturally, many things leave him confused, curious, and sometimes even frustrated. The complexity of personal relationships, the subtleties of social interactions, and the ambiguities within administrative systems. When he comes to me with these complaints, I understand his feeling. But my initial reaction was often to think he was overreacting. I think, yes, some things are strange, but why bother? But in the process of comforting him and trying to explain things, I realized that I had become indifferent. I was taking so much for granted. Our discussions have forced me to scrutinize my own culture from a completely different angle, from his eyes. Often we end up researching topics together. It has become a learning process for both of us. Therefore, I thought it would be interesting to share these discussions with a wider audience. Perhaps you are also curious about these questions, or maybe, like me, you have become a little numb to something, and it would be interesting to rethink about it. I have already started organizing some topics for future videos based on our daily conversations, such as how 关系, the social connections, really works in China, why we Chinese are so obsessed with money, why more and more young people are choosing not to have children, and etc. To ensure these discussions are well-grounded, I will be supplementing our personal experiences with research from books, articles, and other resources. My goal is to explore those topics within their historical and cultural context, not to solve problems or pass judgment, but to find a path to understanding the why behind them, although it is still inevitably personal. I am excited to discover new topics along this way, and if you have any questions or are puzzled by anything about life in China, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I truly hope this channel can become a space for open communication and shared thinking. On a more personal note, creating these videos is also a way for me to practice English. Though I now speak English daily with my husband, I have never been immersed in a native speaking environment. Preparing these videos forces me to structure my thoughts, write scripts, and use tools to improve my grammar. So I apologize in advance if my expression or accent feels awkward at times. I'm still learning. I have found that trying to explain the natural and common aspects of my culture in another language is a fascinating exercise. It's a different way of thinking. The logical structures of Chinese and English are so distinct that I often struggle to find the perfect word, which forces me to break down complex ideas into simpler ones. This process itself is also incredibly revealing. For me, now in my early 30s, my values and worldview were formed in a relatively stable and solid environment, but now I'm being forced to see everything through a different lens and to seriously re-examine fundamental aspects of society from the ground up. It's mind-blowing and it's also very fun. My hope is that I can offer you a different perspective as well. Let's be open-minded together and experience how our differences make this world so colorful and beautiful. Thank you so much for watching, and I am planning to upload a new video every 1 to 2 weeks. So if you are interested, please subscribe. I'd love to see you here often. And wish you have a lovely rest of your day. See you next time.